Hello Aquarius, and welcome to your August 2017 Tarot reading. And I'm sitting here just kind of giving some thought to Aquarius, and I feel kind of buzzy. Like, in the sense that there's just so much going on in your head. It's almost like there is a cafeteria from a school, a large school, in your head. There's a lot of conversation, a lot going on, and you can't make clear of any of it at all. You might step up to one table and get bits from one conversation, step up to another table and get bits from that conversation, but then even when you step back and you try to put it all together, it doesn't all match, even though it's all going on at once and you think that it should match. It's just very buzzy and you can't seem to work your way through it. And it's not from lack of trying. And you haven't stopped trying either. You're still trying to work through whatever this conversation, these conversations that have been going on, the issues that are having you need to work through conversations in your head. You haven't gave up either, despite the fact that the buzz is loud and not making any sense, and you've been trying really hard to make sense and going round and round and round and round and round. You're still at it. You're still trying. You really want to figure out how you can gain clarity. Yeah, that is what I'm getting. Very, very buzzy. So let's see what sort of vibrations that you may come up across in the month of August as we progress through what's left of August. So let's see. Current energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, recent past, strength, possible obstacle, and potential outcome. So let's see where to begin. So let's begin with current energy. And honestly, I feel that it's not exactly current. It's like on the cusp of happening. For some of you, it may have just happened. And it may have been it just happened, but you haven't recognized it yet. So Two of Cups. So there's connections. And I feel that it's the kind of connections that really lead to having those aha moments that you need to make some resolutions. Puzzle pieces coming together. Almost to the point where the puzzle's almost finished. You've been waiting for these. Some of these connections you've been waiting for. And like I said, I feel like they're on the cusp, or they have happened, but it is so new. The occurrence of it happening is so new that maybe you haven't seen the puzzle piece in its entirety yet. Like maybe you've recognized that you've put in the last few pieces, but you haven't stepped back and looked at the picture. It's just so new. And it's almost simultaneous with the recent history, which is Page of Cups. And yeah, with this, as I'm doing the reading, it feels very much that this is more current than the Two of Cups. But in the time it's going to take from me doing this reading to the time that it takes for me to get it up, some of this is going to transition from the current to the recent past. But in some of you, it might be simultaneous. Like this is one of those readings where these are going to be very close in occurrence. But the Page of Cups represents that understanding of the emotional occurrences, the emotional roller coaster you've been going on. There's things that have been going on in your life, and whatever it has been has had you on an emotional roller coaster. The things that you've had to face mentally regarding the situation that's been going on has had you to has had you up and down, back and forth, and how you feel about it. And your emotions are very, very well tied with, very much tied to whatever's going on, the people that are involved in whatever's going on, the situation, the people, everything. And so you have a sense of emotional loyalty or emotional bonds regarding some of these occurrences. So it's been kind of, I don't want to say clouding your judgment, but the process of getting to here from where you started when you first got on this roller coaster, and some of you may not have been by choice, some of you may have gotten on the roller coaster unwittingly, but once you were on it didn't matter. You had to finish the ride out. But it's just had you kind of going up and down, up and down. You've had some breakthroughs, and then as soon as you had a breakthrough, you felt like you were going back up a new hill and working towards a breakthrough. But while you're going up that, you don't feel like you're working towards a great breakthrough. It doesn't feel like it. And then you have a breakthrough, and then the moment you get through that breakthrough, it feels like you're starting all over again. So very, very much like a roller coaster. And in the very, very, very recent past, and we're talking very recent, you had that final breakthrough that makes all of those up and downs make sense. And it provides the clarity. You're able to now, the roller coaster has come to an end, so to speak. That inner turmoil that you have had, that in this roller coaster ride that you have been on, you're at a point now where it has come to a stop, and you can look back and you can see all the ups and downs. You can see the hills and you can see the breakthroughs, and it's all going to make sense. Doesn't make it easier, but it makes sense now. You feel like you're in control. You have a basis of understanding regarding all of the ups and downs that you experienced, the root of all those ups and downs, the part that you did or did not play in those ups and downs, and what you can do about it. So in the very recent past, we have that. You're able now to stand and look back and see and have a moment of clarity regarding all of that. And from that is how you have the Two of Cups. Like I said, this is just, the occurrence is just so close that it's phenomenal. It almost reads current and recent past at the same time. And I think because the more you understand, the more connections you make, the more you understand. Kind of, they'll feed each other too. And the sense of clarity that you're going to gain from this, whether some of you, it'll probably be instantaneous. Some of it will be as you continue to work, as you continue to go through and look through the roller coaster ride and how you felt. And some of you feel it's going to be that last breakthrough. That last breakthrough is going to just help make everything make sense. And ultimately, what's going to make the most sense is how you are going to decide you feel about all of it. And that's the major connection that you're going to make, that how you're going to feel about all of it. The ties and the bonds that you may have had or felt that you could not release during this roller coaster, suddenly you're going to be able to see how it's going to be better serving you to release. And you're not going to have a problem releasing it because of the whatever you're going to learn in that breakthrough. You're not going to feel in any way that you need to keep tied to whatever it is that created that part of that emotional roller coaster ride that you were in. But it doesn't mean it's going to make it easier, because in your physical world we have the Two of Swords reversed, and I feel that despite the connection that you're going to make, there's some choice, let's put it this way, as a result of the connections that you made regarding this roller coaster ride, there are some decisions that you're going to have to make that are going to be best for you, so you can walk away from this roller coaster. And the cause of it, maybe the person who put you on it, whether they rode it with you or were the ones that were in control of the roller coaster. I'm not quite sure. I think because some of you it's one way and some of you it's the other. You're going to have to make a decision, and one of the reasons why the roller coaster even occurred was because you were avoiding the decision you knew ultimately was going to have to be made. And you're going to come to that point where you're going to make some connections, and because of it, there is a decision that's going to have to be made. And I feel that this card is reversed because there's a potential of being irrational for some, and others are still going to be a desire to avoid the decision, which means you have the potential of getting back on that emotional ride, roller coaster ride. But because of the clarity and the connections that you've made, there is a decision that you're going to have to make in your life to cut away some things that you know. And like I said, I feel that that was part of the roller coaster ride, was because you already knew these decisions were going to have to be made. You just didn't want to make them because of the ties you have that surround the specific decision. And I feel that it's not going to be made. It's still not, even though you might realize now that you don't have a choice, it's still not going to be completely resolved by the end of August. You'll still maintain your clarity though. But for a lot of you, the decision's going to have to be made, but the action doesn't have to be made right away. And you know that already. You know that there are still some things that have to occur before you can take action. And you have to take logical reasoning to decide what your next step is. But here we have reflected in the mental was the Eight of Cups. Ultimately, the Eight of Cups is walking away from. There are things you have to walk away from, and I feel that this isn't things, this is people. There are people that you're going to have to walk away from, and that was a good deal of what was going on with that roller coaster and the emotional ties that you had. And that's the biggest struggle about this whole Two of Swords, is that you don't want to spend time thinking about this because you know where you're going to have to walk away from. You know who you're going to have to walk away from, and it's something you've been avoiding, hence the roller coaster. You really don't want to break away from this. You don't want to walk away from this person or the ties with whatever this is. So you're going to be mentally consumed with this decision that you have to make, what you're going to have to decide on to help to walk away, and what it is that you need to walk away from in its entirety, partially. It's just an intense decision. I feel that the more I think about it and I talk about it, I'm overwhelmed with how exhausting it is and how much I want to avoid. I want to avoid talking about it, and I feel that sensation of wanting to avoid to talk about it is why the Two of Swords is upside down, because you want to avoid thinking about it. You already know what needs to be done. You just don't want to do it. The ties are still too strong, though, and that's one of the reasons why. Some of the ties are still, despite the clarity, there's still some minor breakthroughs that you have to make that will make it so that that disconnect that you need to make will be easier. And I think there's a part of that reason why you're still holding out, is you're hoping that some of those breakthroughs will come through so that it won't be as painful for you. But yeah, overall, like, there's something, you're going to have to make a decision to walk away from something, and this is going to consume you for the month of August. I think ultimately you are going to end the month knowing what has to be done. It's not going to make it any easier. You're going to be consumed with this a lot. Some of that chatter is going to, I talked about, that buzz that's going on in your head, is going to kind of simmer down. It's not going to be quite as loud because you'll have that clarity. You'll make the connections and you'll know. So it's going to calm down enough that you'll finally know and see what it is that you're supposed to be focusing on. But it's going to consume you because there's a little bit of sorrow tied in with this disconnect that you're supposed to make. So there's, like I said, there's going to be avoidance of it for pretty much the entire month of August. There may be a few of you who might go straight for it, but as a whole, the avoidance is going to be strong. Emotionally, though, we have the World. And I feel despite this, whatever this is that's kind of weighing on you regarding the decision that you have to make, the breakthrough that you have is going to allow you to feel more solid emotionally than you've felt in a long time. And I think because even though you still have a connection to this, whatever it is you're supposed to finally release, the realization you finally come that it's unavoidable is going to help you feel more grounded. And as a result of it, emotionally, you're going to have more control of your emotion. It's not going to be that roller coaster anymore. And so you're going to be able to focus on some of the things some of the positive aspects that you always knew was a part of your emotional life, that was a stronghold in your emotional life, but you were too consumed with this emotional ride to be able to really enjoy and reside in. But now that you've made this breakthrough, despite the heaviness of this decision, emotionally, you're just going to feel like you finally have won this battle. You've won this battle, and you're able to really reside in this more peaceful, emotional world. It's not going to feel quite as, I don't want to say it's not going to be turmoil, because obviously, you still have this heavy decision that you have to make, but the roller coaster is just not going to be there. The upheaval is not going to be there. Emotionally, you're going to feel more at peace than you have in a really long time, just because of not having that roller coaster ride occurring. Spiritually, we have 3 of Cups. And as a whole, I feel that this is a message for you to seek support spiritually. Whoever it is that is a mentor or can help you to reach some breakthroughs, and I feel that this is connected to helping you figure out what it is that you need to maintain that emotional win that you feel that you have, that solid ground, solid footing that you have, but also helping you to know the right ways and means to address this issue. You're being told to seek out some support that will help give you the guidance that you need on a spiritual level. And it would be best if it was from someone who was fairly neutral. So you don't want to go to someone who is in support of this decision one way or the other in any drastic means. If you can help it, you want to find someone who you can connect with on a spiritual level, so this decision and the handling of this can be done spiritually, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So possible strength is the 9 of Swords, and I feel this is letting you know that your strength this month is recognizing your anxieties for what they are. Recognizing those things that you feel haunt you, and seeing them and naming them, and realizing how these hard times make you a strong person. And recognizing how throughout your entire life, when you've been in dark places in your life, you've come out stronger than you've ever come before. You've come out with epiphanies that were larger than anything that you could have gotten from a self-help book. You have managed to reach moments of great expansion mentally, physically, emotionally. Recognizing how dark times in your life has made you the strong, powerful person that you are. This is your strength for the month. This is what's going to help you to come to a better idea of how to resolve whatever is left over from that roller coaster ride that you need to address. But that is your strength, and always kind of has been, I feel, that for a lot of you. Recognizing how hard times make you stronger makes you more resilient, has been something that has helped you a lot of your times in your life, something that you've reflected on many times to help give you that boost of confidence that you need. And this month is no less. That's definitely something that you need to kind of tap into. Possible obstacle for the month is the Four of Swords. And this is letting you know that the obstacle is if you it's going to be spending too much time resting. Or in other words, avoiding this problem. You don't want to let this consume you to the point of sending you on another roller coaster ride, but this one being a mental one. But you don't want to avoid it so much that you get comfortable not dealing with it. This is going to have to be dealt with eventually. Not necessarily right now, not necessarily today or tomorrow. But you already know. Whatever this is, you will eventually have to finally help it come to an end. And the more hand you have in it, obviously, the more positive is going to be on you if you handle it properly. Again, you don't want to let it consume you to the point that it's putting you on another roller coaster ride, but you don't want to avoid it in hopes that it will take care of itself. Because that also can put you on another roller coaster ride, mentally, emotionally, and just with a personal power struggle too, because you're going to lose some personal power in a result of not handling this. So your obstacle is if you spend too much time hoping things will resolve and contemplating or not contemplating, this is not going to end in the direction you want it to. So you still want to have a hand in this. I'm not saying go out and take care of it immediately. You still want to be logical in your reasoning and handling this, but don't avoid it either. Potential outcome for the month is the Page of Pentacles, and I feel this is letting you know that you have the potential of reaching a resolution, at least understanding what your resolution is going to be and starting the process of setting down the groundwork to get you to that point where you can get more solid footing than what you have. The roller coaster has ended. You feel better. You feel like you can look in hindsight and understand because of the clarity. Mentally, you know what you have to do to kind of work through and release whatever it is that needs, or whoever it is that needs to be released. As you come to the end of August, you have the potential of sitting on the throne of feeling better grounded. And I feel that for some of you, it's because you finally came to a resolution of what it is that you need to do to end this chapter of your life so that you can move on. And for some of you, it's just because you actually did finally make that first step, whatever it is that needs to be done. And because of it, you have the potential of creating space for more abundance for yourself. Whatever it is that is going on is actually blocking you from being more abundant. So by handling this correctly, you have the potential of ending the month to a point where you feel like you're finally sitting on the throne of your own life. You're better grounded in all the decisions that you have made. And you feel like you're at a better place to make more decisions and finally get to where you can bring abundance into your life. And that can be in any facet. That doesn't necessarily have to be financial. It can be emotional. It can be spiritual. A lot of you, I feel that it is definitely tied financially. In some way or another, you're going to feel more secure financially as a result of this. But it can be, there are a few of you that it can be with emotional aspect, love aspect, or spiritual aspect. But you have the potential of ending the month where you just feel like you have a better understanding. You're sitting on a throne where you can make decisions. You can take pride in the decisions that you've made. You feel better secure in the decisions that you can continue to make and are making space for abundance to come into your life in some facet. All right, so that is all I have as far as the reading is concerned, but I'm going to go ahead and pull a card to sort of wrap it all up and put it all together for you and maybe give you a little something to carry as you move through the rest of the month, what is left of it. So let's see what we have as far as an additional message, a final word for you. Sunset joy, pleasure, and laughter. So that getting to that point where you finally felt like you got off that roller coaster and can kind of turn around and in hindsight see all those ups and downs and make sense of them. I feel that this is kind of letting you know that while you're looking back and reminiscing, you know, look at the sunset. You know, when you refer to those dark days, you can kind of look at the sunset and look at not just the sunset, but also know that the sunrise is coming. But take pleasure, you know, take pleasure in those little things in life and laugh. Really feed your soul. Really feed that emotional status that you have been feeling. The more you can feed this and the stronger you feel, the more you're going to be able to feel like you are at a good place to be able to handle this situation. With compassion and love to yourself as well as whoever else is involved. You don't want to negate the love and compassion you're supposed to give to yourself, but you also don't want to negate the love and compassion you need to be giving to whoever else is involved in the situation. But you get that placement and that space of moving through a place of love and compassion by being able to recognize those little joys in life like sunsets and being able to really reside in them and feed on, let that energy nurture you as a whole. So enjoying the simple pleasures of life and laughing, that is your key for the month. You know, just take the time to see the sunsets, you know, or sunrises. I think they can be just as gorgeous sometimes, but you know, sunsets, sunrises, whatever, and everything in between that causes you great pleasure and laughter. All right, Aquarius, that is all I have for you for the month of August. I hope the rest of it goes well. Make it a great month, and hopefully I'll see you in September.